And you know what time it is, right? Well, hello, everybody. Glad to have you here on time. I'm John Zidar, in case you didn't know. Some people call me the Stock Wizard. This is On Top and Hot, the live version. Normally, we talk about hot penny stocks from my point of view. I find them, I share them with you. Well, today I'm going to share them with you, but you guys found them, and I've done the due diligence on a bunch of them that you guys bring me every week, my posse, the people I can count on to keep my show going. We've got Mark Ryan and Belmore and Lee and Underdog. I mean, this is my steady crew here. Johnny Liberty stepping into the picture. Thank you, Johnny. It's an interesting stock you brought into the picture. And expert market stocks are stocks I used to really pay attention to because you can make some big gains on those if you play them right and really are paying attention. So I've got some things all taken care of here. Make sure everything is on. If we have any problems, folks, please let me know. You used to call me on the phone. That was really cool. I would think it was someone else calling me and throw the phone over there. I can't talk right now. The next day I'd get all these messages. John, we only see your head. Oh, shit. So we're going to try to remember, and I think that's the problem. I try to remember so much that I forget some. And if I just play it by ear, I think I do a lot better. So we're going to look at stocks that you have found, and we're just going to play this by ear and see if we can get through this show, seeing everything you're supposed to see. How about that? So let's jump on into this. Great to have you here. Oh, no, you're not late, my friend. You are on time. I am good. Thank you, my friend. All right, let us jump on into this. Remembering me to hit all my buttons. Getting things set up. I was trading right up to the very end of the day. Matter of fact, I've still got options out there. I trade penny stocks, stocks under $5, and options. It's the only way that you can make any money on down days if you have a cash account. If everything's falling, what are you going to do to make money, right? So options, playing puts, it's the only way to make money on down days. So I've learned to play options just so I can take advantage of that. But I take advantage of hot days too. And today was a little of both. I haven't actually looked at the tally, but I think I'm down today. It's been a very strong week. You can't win them all. So let us dive on into what we've got here. First ticker we're going to take a look at came from Belmore. Naturally, Belmore is always first in line. You know, I was going through some of my old videos, and I saw a video, I don't know, like 3 years ago I did. I've been doing this for like 4 years. And Belmore had a comment, and it was like, holy cow, has Belmore been around that long? Oh my God, you're a darling. I love you. Thank you so much. Hanging with me all this time. I've been learning through these years. You've been learning with me, hopefully. Hopefully I haven't hurt you. All right. So Belmore has brought us SXTP. She always likes to look at the warrants as well. She says both the stock and the warrant are worthy of considering. It was a penny stock at the beginning of the day, so we are definitely going to take a look at this. It's trying to leave Penniesville right now. So we are looking at 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals, Inc. They have an FDA-approved drug called Aracota, which is for malaria prevention. They just had news come out today. They just had a 1-in-4 reverse stock split last week, which has now given them a very super low float. So let's see what we got here. SXTP is based here in the United States. Finished today at $5.03, up 151%, jumping over $3. That's a hot penny stock. And this is on the major exchange. It's on the NASDAQ, which comes with benefits over those OTC penny stocks. One, there's no transaction fees. You get to trade your shares for free. You don't buy them for free. You trade them for free. You also get to trade pre-market, aftermarket. You never, ever, ever get to do that with OTC. And some of the biggest runs happen in those periods of time because there's no halts for volatility. A stock will just keep running. You also get to get a lot more money and a lot more volume. That's what major exchange is all about. People who have money, they don't trade OTC. Not really. And there is a lot more rules on the major exchange. They're all for the companies, keeping them in boxes they're supposed to be in. You go out of the box, they get in trouble. Well, that's good for us. It keeps our investments safe. So this is on the major exchange. Let's see. Let's just dive right on into the news. As I said, they had news today. The company, if we dive on over just real briefly here to their website, jumping on over into their clinical pipeline, if I remember correctly, this took a while to load last time. They have a couple different drugs, but only one, as far as I can see, has been approved. It is for malaria. You don't want to come. There we go. Right there. Malaria prevention. Back in 2019, this one was taken care of. And you're thinking, malaria? Yeah, it's still hot in some countries. And then they've got a few other drugs here that are in trials right now. Haven't done any due diligence on them because they aren't in the news. What's in the news is that malaria prevention one. They do have news about the one we just saw underneath. I don't know what Babesia infection is, but they have got a detection so that they can find it readily, easier now. But what they've got is a deal with Runaway Health to provide international travelers direct access to their Arakota drug. If they're going to countries that have the mosquito that is known to carry malaria, then you can very easily get the inoculation before you go to those nations. And they've made it very easy, and this company's got the drug, and they've just made the deal. When I went through this, I was trying to see if they had any numbers. It's supposed to start in April, but how many people that is, I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine, honestly, that it's a whole heck of a lot of people. And if Trump's going to be bringing down the price of drugs, how much money can you make on it? I don't know. So let's see what we've got here for the relative volume. Well, holy Pete's sake, it must be a real big deal. Oh, God. Look, she's only been doing 16,000 shares a day on the major exchange. 16,000. That's embarrassing. Go home. Don't even come to work. Today, she did 192 million. I'm not even going to try to do the calculation there. That is huge, folks. 400,000% increase or something. It is gigantic. Share structure for this company, itty bitty, tiny share count now since they had their 1-in-4 reverse stock split about a week ago. We now have 1 million shares outstanding. That includes what the insiders own, the ones that ain't trading every day. And I don't know how much that is, but subtract that. That gives us our float. Folks, it's going to be less than 1 million shares, and we did 191 million today. So even if there's 1 million shares there, we just did every share 191 times, got bought and sold, bought and sold, bought and sold. What 191 times, not million times, 191 times. That is heat. Market cap's way down there at 2.1 million. Company making money. Yeah. 4 years ago, we were at $6.3 million. We've got 3 zeros to put on any of these numbers. It fell all the way down to 500,000. Then half of that, 250,000, and now they're back up to 681,000. Did their drug wipe out malaria? They just don't have anybody buying their drug anymore. And obviously, the profits have dropped huge from 5.5 million 4 years ago to just about 300,000. Quarterly, it's on an uptake right now. I guess people are traveling, going from 148,000 a year ago to a little over 500,000, but they're not making any money. The more money they make, the more they're losing. Balance sheet. We got 3 zeros here too. So this is what they've got in the bank. Their cash and cash equivalents. We got 4 million. Total assets for the company, 6.6 million. Total liabilities on 2.2 million. So we are holding stockholder equity of 4.4 million. Now, simple math here. If there's 1 million shares and there was 4.4 million in equity, from an equity standpoint, this stock should be worth $4.4. We're at 5. We're in the ballpark right there. That's just taking that one thing into consideration, nothing else. Looking at our disclosures for SXTP, 8Ks, you normally just want to bounce in and read the top headline, see if it makes any sense to you. Changing bylaws here. Bylaws are things I normally don't take much interest in. They do talk about that reverse stock split there. That would have been interesting if you didn't catch it anywhere else. Outside of that, I don't see anything of interest there. Let's see. We got one more 8K that came out about 2 weeks ago. The company just brought out an investor presentation. I guess this is it. There you go. Investor presentation is a digital brochure. It's for investors. It tells you basically the ins and outs of the company without getting deep, without having to go into a 10K or a 10Q. So if you really want to know about the company, where they're at, what they're doing, how good business is, this is probably the easiest way to do it. I do believe that takes care of everything we needed to see here. Yes, sir. So let's go take a look at the chart now. You're with me. I get scared. I really get angry when I forget to do things, folks, and you guys suffer for it. So let's bring up my charts, please. Was looking at a lot of different things here. Always am. Love my windows. Okay. Get rid of this little guy. We don't need you. And get our ticker in there. Boink, SXTP. Obviously, I've looked at this. I've got my Fibonacci up on it. So let's kick it back a year, see what we've been doing. So she's been falling over this last year. We've had a reverse stock split here of a 1 and 5. I don't know why they don't show the other one here. There's another one somewhere in here, a 1 and 4. You got to take both of those reverse stock splits and multiply them together. A 1 and 4, that's a 4. A 1 and 5, that's a 5. 4 times 5, 20. That means every number behind this last split has been multiplied by 20 times. So any high bubbles, any price you see, they're wrong. You got to divide them by 20. I don't know why they don't just put a big old green bar on the board like they used to. Now they multiply the whole chart back to the very first day it was on the stock market, and they're not going to fix it. It's going to stay like that. So our high of 24 being divided by 20, we're going to be at like what, $1.10 or $1.05 or something. So it wasn't as high as 24. From that high, she did fall all the way down, and she has not touched that 200 until now. Let me get this out of the way. That is our first break through the 200, and it is now going flat. Do we have a 200 breakout or a 200 squeeze? We don't. Not yet. 200 squeeze is when you've got that price between both 200s, which we do. She is right there, actually. And the 200 haul turns up. If the price is above the 50, on it or above it, you can expect it to run to and through the 200. Now, this is already burst. It's already done it, but that doesn't mean it can't do it again. If this stays in this zone between the two 200s and the 200 haul, that's the purple line here. I know you don't use it. You should. The 200 haul, HULL, is just like the 200 MA, except it's friendly. The 200 MA does not give a hoot about anybody, and everybody's scared of it, trying to get away from it. You know, the 200 haul is friendly because it takes into consideration current prices in its calculation for where it's going to lay on the chart, which is why it's normally closer to the price. Well, when the price is over the 200 haul and it turns up, and mine changes color, so I know when it turns up because it's an indicator. Immediately, you will normally see the price go into turbo. Big bar. It'll go from little bars to big bars as soon as that 200 turns up, 200 haul. And if there's a 200 MA above it, it'll normally go to and through the 200. Then pull back, and if there's volume there, it'll then bounce again. So this is looking good. We've got some strength sitting on the table there. Our 4-hour chart. We've got a high here of 1828. I'm sure we've got to divide that at least by 4, maybe more. Our low now is our 52-week low is $1.36, and it looks to be off of that low is when things started to change. She was going sideways. She got up on top of our 50. We're in a 200 squeeze here. She crouched down, hit that low, bounced back up. Now we're just sitting in here waiting for something to change, but it is a perfect setup because the 200s are getting closer, closer, closer. You know it's imminent. Something's got to give. Right here, something gave. Our 200 did turn up. I would have expected this to break out earlier, but it did break out. It did break out, and it broke out with big bars. See how itty bitty tiny these are? And then all of a sudden it gets on top of the 50, solid. Boom, she shoots. She went from $2.14 all the way up to, wow, $8.64 before she pulled back. And she didn't even come all the way back down to the 9. She's still way the heck up here floating. I expect it to at least come back down to the 9. Now, it could go sideways and wait for the 9 to come to it. That would be strong. If the price waits for the 9, that's an excellent setup. We got lots of volume today. Look at this. There's no volume to talk about. All of our oscillators are going to the moon. Everything is hot right now in the 4-hour chart. The 1-hour chart, that's not going to be the 1 hour. That's the 1 day. The 1-hour chart is looking good. We had the rip pre-market. She started there at that 214, ran the entire pre-market. Now I'm going to be interested to see the 5-minute chart. Normally you have a pullback. When you have a strong run pre-market, my rule, sell. Get the heck out of that stock before the bell, because once the bell hits, people who aren't paying attention to it are going to see how high it is compared to yesterday, and they're not going to go do diligence and see why it's running. They're just going to sell, and normally it comes back down real fast and hard. But if it's got good catalysts, the profit takers will be gone in a hurry. Smart money comes in and it'll start to run again. So I'm going to be interested to see this. But this isn't a bad chart because she did come right back down to the 9. She's tapped it a few times and now we got a green bar bouncing off of it. All of our MAs are climbing and pushing up. All of our oscillators are still in strength, looking good. Coming down to our 5-day, 5-minute. Let's see what happened at the bell. Aha! See? That's what me be talking about. She had that solid run. She did have a push right after the bell, and I bet a lot of people got stuck here because they ran through this thinking, yep, she's going to go to the moon. She hit that high of 862. Now, our 9-day at that point was down here at 688, and the price got up to 862. That is too big of a spread. You know it's got to come down. And as high as it is, as strong as it was running, I'd be afraid of a pullback that'd be strong. And we did get a very strong pullback all the way back to it. A strong 50-day MA. Came down to the 200 haul in the 50, but couldn't hold. It tried, but couldn't hold. Fell down here. And I'm sure if we back this up to say the 15-minute, you'll probably see she's sitting right in this area. So right now, she is sitting in a strong zone for continuation. If we were to very quickly just take our Fibonacci and poke the top of this high, come down to where the run started, see where the price is sitting. Is it at the 50% mark, right in the middle? The top half is your green zone. If the price can get into that green zone or stay in that green zone, the likelihood of it climbing is strong, 80%. If it comes down underneath it, it's going to fall until it hits a strong MA right there. Then it bounces off of it and comes back up. Now, right now, we're sitting on the launch fib, 38.2, right up underneath the 50. 50 is the green zone. The launch is the excitement to get to the green zone. So this is a great place to be sitting on top of two very strong MAs, pushing up off of the 38 over the 50. We could get a nice run here. I'd be putting XTP on my watch list. She had lots of volume today. It petered out at the end of the day, but the chart is set up. Now, I don't know how hot that news was, you know, being able to sell it to people traveling, the malaria prevention drug, but it's running. So just if she has volume, she's worth getting in. But take your gains. We're not here investing, right? All righty. Yes. Everything's looking good. I always feel good when things look good. Is Monty here? Monty! Me and Monty talked the other day. Well, if you could call chatting online talking. We chatted the other day. God, I think that was the first time in months, at least 3 months, maybe even more. Time flies out here in the digital world. I'll tell you what. You bet, Warren. I don't know what you're thanking me for, but I'm here for you. That's the whole reason. You know, I don't get paid by YouTube. They let me show my videos, but they say I cannot be paid because they determined, AI did, that my videos are harmful and dangerous to the community. I don't want to go there. And I tried to monetize my Twitter account because I've got just as many followers there, about 7,000. I don't qualify to monetize there. So what I'm saying is everything I do, the videos, the news, all this stuff I do for free. And I'm only saying this because you're my followers, and who else am I going to tell? But I put up a fund me at Christmas on Twitter to see if I could get some donations for all the hard work I do. Big goose egg. Not one. I got a share. Somebody shared it for me, but that's as far as it went. I did put a fund me up on my Facebook page back in 2018 when my cannabis page was hot. I was the hardest working Facebook man you could find. And I made like $700 in December just off of my Facebook page. Now my Facebook page is dead. Ain't nobody there anymore. All right, let me get a little bit of nicotine here and we'll jump back into this. Of course, I grabbed the dead one. Stuffy. That's why I record these. People got lives. They get home from work, want to take a shower, get high, watch a movie. I don't know. You don't have to watch me now. All right, let's dive on back in. Me hitting the buttons, as you can see. There, you can see. Next stock we're going to take a look at is Nido. Both Elmore and Underdog gave me choices for the stocks I wanted. I can't remember why I chose one over the other, but I remember I did not want to talk about Nido. I didn't. And then I looked at the other stock. It's like it had nothing to talk about. And it's like, okay, I guess we'll talk about Nido. And then old Mark Ryan jumps in there. Nido is a good one to talk about. So we're going to talk about Nido. Thank you, Underdog. This is N2F. They are dealing with cancer, fighting drugs. They too had news today. They too have a very low float. Nido. So I'm going to pull up where they're from. Israel. Okay, this is a company based out of Israel. Finished the day at $1.81, up almost 10%, jumping 16 cents. Hot penny stock on the NASDAQ, coming with those same benefits we just got done talking about. I'm not going to repeat it. So what does this company say they're about? N2Off is an agri-food tech company that engages in the development and the sale of eco-friendly green solutions for the food industry to enhance food safety and the shelf life of fresh produce. Okay, where is the cancer? Now, from what I remember reading here, they've got two products, Save Protect and Perostar. These are additives that go into water when you wash your produce, your vegetables, and your fruits. And they are supposed to add benefits to the produce, not only making them cleaner, but lasting longer, mildew and rot not setting in, and they're supposed to be safer for consumption, which is always good. We like that. So that's what they're all about. At least that's what they say here. Now let's just take a quick diddly-do over here. Climate smart farming, reducing nitrous oxide emissions. Not going where I'm thinking. Talking about nitrous oxide on farms, the adverse impact of N2O. So we got cancer fighting drugs. We've got the solution you wash your vegetables and fruit with, and then we got nitrous oxide. Let's see what their products say. Reducing nitrous oxide with safeguard soil. Soil. All right, I am very confused here. This is what happens when you don't do a deep dive, right? So their website says that they're working with nitrous oxide and soil and such, whatever all of that contains. We don't have time to dive into it. So I'm going to go with the soil and the nitrous oxide. Now, maybe they still have these products. Maybe they have a cancer-fighting drug that I'm not aware of. That's what happens when you don't do a deep dive. So one of those three things, I'm going to go soil and nitrous oxide. What does the news say? Maybe we'll get a heads up over here. All right, I've got news that's been highlighted back here in October. The company completed a merger, with a cancer drug discovery company targeting tough-to-treat pancreatic and lung cancers. Well, that was just back in October. I can't imagine they abandoned the boat already. Let's see what we got here at the end of December. The company accelerates European renewable energy momentum and major de-risking milestones and approximately 1.7 million value unlock in Germany and Italy. All right, so we've learned that they're working abroad and they're working in renewable energy. Nitrous oxide, is that the renewable energy here? N2F advances a $340,000 payment to gain better terms in flag solar energy initiative. Solar energy now. All right. Is this a holdings company? I mean, are they just buying all these different companies? Reflecting approximately an additional 1.7 million in project profit. So it sounds like we should be coming into money here, right? We got 1.5 million here, 1.5 million there, roughly. And then what do we got up here? In the most recent news, we've got two pieces of news that came out this month. The company's MitoCare X Bio spotlights co-founders pioneering research on mitochondrial carriers in spaceflight stress conditions. Some more due diligence. And MitoCare X Bio announces positive in vitro results from its mitochondrial carrier small molecule platform. Now, I did dive into this and read it, but I can't explain it to you. That's why I hated talking about this one, because they've got more information here than I can possibly talk about. All I can say is that the drug is working on cancers, and they're working by identifying a weakness in a protein, and they're making advantage of that. That's the best I can do. You asked me to explain it. That's what you're going to get. And let's take a look at the disclosures since we're looking for catalysts here. We do have two 8Ks that came out this month. Let's see here. Right. Thank God I read this. I did have it highlighted so I'd remember, but they didn't show up. The company, N2Off, owned a bunch of shares in a company called Save Foods. And they sold all their shares over to another company called Voice Assist, which owned some shares of Save Foods. Now they own all the shares of Save Foods. This company has nothing to do with Save Foods anymore, a company out of Israel, and they're done with it. So that's what that was about. And then the other one, I read this one too. Oh, it's a payment. They gave 35,000 shares for a consulting agreement. They use their shares like money. A lot of people are willing to take shares instead of money because it could be worth more down the road, right? That's what we're always hoping. I do believe that's everything we got here. So let's go take a look at the relative volume for Nito today. What the kazumis? Wow. Hey, thanks for bringing us hot stocks. If I had looked at this, I'd have said, okay, we'll talk about this, whatever I got to talk about. We were doing less than 100,000 shares on the major exchange. Embarrassing. Pull your pants up. Today, 45 million shares. Let me see. 10 for every million. There's 45 million. That's 450 times her normal volume. Oh my God, folks. You're talking a 500 million% increase in her volume. I think that's right. Check me. Looking at our outstanding share count, look at that. Super low float, 2.7 million. Insiders are going to own something. Subtract that. That gives us our super duper low float. Whatever it is, folks, it's great. And what did they move today? 45 million shares. And how many have we got? Call it 3 million. So every share had to sell 15 times. Folks, this is what we're looking for. Roll that odometer over. Market cap, 4.4 million. Are they making money? Yeah, probably enough to pay somebody. I doubt they're even making enough to pay the management. So they've been falling from about 500,000 down to 200,000, and the profits have fallen from 300,000 down to 50,000. Quarterlies? Oh, God, that don't look good at all. So where's all this money that we just read about? 1.7, 1.6 million. Where's that money? Says here, September, we did $2,000. Thank God for those 3 zeros, right? But they didn't get to keep any of it. So who got paid that month? Balance sheet for the company. They got 6 million in the bank. Thank God for that. Got 11 million in assets, only 2 million in liabilities. So we are holding positive stockholder equity of 8.9 million. Again, you can take the shares, divide that into that. If you want a base idea, you know, there's lots of ways to figure out what a price is worth, but that would give you 4 something Oh, we're only at 1.8. There's lots of room for growth here. So says the assets. And I do believe that takes care of everything, right? I kind of bounced around, so I got to think here for a minute. Yes, sir. We're out of here. We're going to go look at the chart now for NITO. Nitrous oxide, soil, dirt, solar panels, solutions to make your stuff better. That wasn't it. Yeah. Been looking at this one too. Already got lines on it. All right, let's see. Where do my lines go for? They go all the way back to 4-hour chart. No, they go all the way back to a 1-year chart, which is where we were heading anyways. That's a 2-year chart. We'll start with the 2-year chart. All right. So, gee whiz, look at those lines. I'm going to get rid of those. We do not need these. Bye-bye. What a rip, huh? So we are looking at a 2-year chart. Over the last 2 years, she was falling, had a big rip here on January 25. Wow, looks like it may have even been, it was right at New Year's. She started to warm up in the last couple of days of December, and right on New Year's, she jumped from about, I don't know if we have any reverse stock splits here, so I'm just going to trust all the prices. About 9:30. Whoa, holy shaving cream. $122. Wow. Wow, 1,200% rip. If somebody didn't sell up there, they were bloody greedy. Actually, if you even got here, I would be surprised. I'd be selling down here. I wouldn't have had enough shares to last all the way up because I sell on the way up. I sell a little. If I've got 1,000 shares, I will sell 10 shares. If it's climbing hard and fast, I don't want to lose it, so I'll sell 10. I'll sell 10. They don't charge me anything for it, so I just take some. I got to scratch that itch, man, because I start getting nervous. There's a lot of money sitting on the table, and then I start selling 50 when it gets higher. And then when I have over 100% gains, I try to sell at least 50%, so I get all my money back, and now I'm playing with house shares, free shares. It's a lot easier to deal with then. So once we hit that 122, she came down. It did take 2 months. 2 months, but it was hard. People were probably holding their breath thinking it was going to go back up, right? And then it crashed all the way back down here to $11. And slowly over the last year, she's been dribbling down to $1.40. On the yearly chart, what is our 52-week high? $53.55. And I don't think we've had a reverse stock split here. And our 52-week low is $1.40. As you can see, we haven't had hardly any volume during the year. Today's volume was incredible. Oscillators, they're warm. They aren't exactly hot. They're warm though. Let's see if there's any setups here. Well, we are getting close, but we've still got a lot of work to do. The price is in between the two 200s, but it needs to be up on top of the 50 before it looks hot. Jumping on down to our 6-month. Now we've got a high of 1956, falling all the way down to that low. Says it's $1.32 here. And we've got ourselves a 200 squeeze set up, and it's already popped once, right? Look, if I grab this, where's my line? Right there. I'm going to put it right where the 200 changed from purple to blue. Look at the size of the bars on this side. Look at the size of the bar on that side. Oh, my God. So this bar on this side went from $1.63 to $1.66. The bar on the other side went from $1.62 up to $3.16. Yes, it came back down. My point, though, she broke out as soon as that 200 haul turned up. Get out of there. As soon as that turned up and she was sitting on top of the 50, it is a lit match to gas. Boom. To and through the 200. I always say, as soon as she breaks through the 200, sell. Don't look for the top. I don't care how high she's going. Take your gain somewhere up here because she's going to come down. 9 out of 10 times, it's tuckered out. That was a long run, solid break, continued running. God dang it. Take your gains. She's going to pull back down. You can get back in either underneath the 200 or back on the 50 or maybe even the 200 haul. But she's probably going to bounce again. She's probably going to do it all over again. So this looks really, really, really good to me. Oscillators are all pushing up, showing strength in the picture still. As I said, volume was hot today. It did peter out. I'll give you that, but she is sitting in the right place. Take a look at our 20-day 1-hour view. There's our low of $1.32. It was just a quick drop and a back up. Went sideways, just looking for an opportunity to break out. What do I mean by an opportunity? I mean, let me back it up, a flat 200. There's our 200. It is flat right there. That's where it went flat. That's when you have your breakouts, folks. A falling 200, you'll have breakthroughs, but it's going to come back down. And if it doesn't, it's going to come back down lower than where it was. It's a punishment. I don't know why the algorithm does it, but it does. So you'll get breakthroughs. But once that 200 goes flat, that's an opportunity. And if your price has been sitting in between the 200s, not doing much, I told you they're getting closer and closer. It's got to do something. Well, as soon as the 200 goes flat, that's it. It jumps out of the water onto the surface of the water. Now it's in the air. How fast can you move in the air compared to the water? This thing is ready to run. She had a big rip back down to the 200, which is now turning up. It was flat there. By the end of the day, it's turned up, and all of our MAs are climbing except the 9, our wet noodle. We do need to get on top of the 9. You can't climb unless you're on top of the 9. But she's in position for a serious bounce. Our oscillators, they're a little neutral right now. You know, she was falling all day, but position looks really good. Volume comes in, this thing could ignite. Taking a look at our 5-day, 15-minute. So that was all pre-market, folks. That's what I'm telling you about these major exchange stocks. The biggest runs happen during the pre-market, after market in many cases, and there's nobody there to stop the run. This probably should have been halted a couple times as it was running. No halts. Plus, you can't buy on market orders during pre-market, after market. Stop losses, none of them work pre-market, after market. It's all limit orders. Everything is limit orders. So once she came down at the bell, she found her strong supports on the 200 haul and the 50. She rode that to the halfway point of the day, dropped underneath the 200, looking like she was going to continue falling. I'd have been scared here too, but this was a bear trap. Lots of people started buying puts thinking this thing was going to fall, and she bounced back up. She's now up here looking like she's thinking about doing something. I can't say what she's going to do on this chart. She's above the 200, which is a good sign. The 200 is rising. We have our strong 200 haul and 50 above it, which are just going flat right now. And all of our volume has petered out. All of our oscillators are neutral. So on our 15-minute chart, we don't have any heads up. So what we've got is our long charts telling us it's ready to run. But what we need is volume. Without it, it's a dead stock. Still with me? You guys are so quiet. Why don't you say something? Do reposted this stream. You go, do. Do. What you doing, Do? Glad to have you here. My Mountain Dew. I love you, Do. Do follows me on Twitter. She is one of the only people that actually responds to my little scan I put up. I just put it up every half hour. I try to, so that people have an idea of what's going on in the market. You know, I don't want to be unconnected to Twitter, but she makes a lot of comments, makes me laugh through the day. I appreciate you, Do. I really do. All right. Sidhu, we might get to it. Nicotine. Oh, you heard me say that, huh? Yeah, that's a long discussion. We'll talk about it later. I don't feel guilty, so don't rub it in. Nicotine has never hurt me. Quitting coffee gave me headaches, so I went back to coffee. Not having nicotine, I didn't get the stimulation I needed, so I'm back to nicotine. It never hurt me. It was all the other shite that came with the nicotine that hurt me, not the nicotine itself. All right, enough about me. Let's talk about you. What stocks did you bring me? Well, let's go see. I almost didn't hit my button. I would kick myself. I swear to God. The only reason I don't is because I'm not wearing pants right now. And that would be a problem with YouTube, I'm sure. Okay, quit trying to picture it. Just stop. Next stock we're taking a look at came from Mark Ryan. EVTV. This is an interesting stock. I did a video on this in the middle of the day, actually. The stock was running really hot one day. News had come out, and it was hot news, but it was going to run harder for news that came out a week earlier. And that's why I made the video. It was at $1.55. I think it had gone up, I don't know, 250, and it came all the way down to $1.55. And I looked at the news and I said, oh, this baby's going to $3. At least it's going to $3. So I made a video in the middle of the day to get it out before the end of the day so that people could take advantage of it. Oh man, it went to $4.91. Good call, Wiz. So let's see here. All right, I just told you all of that. And they've got a merger deal with an AI data center, which is why this is all happening. So let's dive on into this. This is EVTV, Environment Tech Vehicles, based in California. Finished today at $2.35. Ow! Down 26% today. That's right. I did look at the chart. It's been falling for days. Doesn't look like a hot stock. Maybe it's going to rebound. I didn't look at the chart. I just glanced. So she's way down right now. This is not a hot stock on the NASDAQ, but it's on the NASDAQ. And, right. I wanted to let you know that there seems to be, again, either a change of operations or a huge add-on. This company, as far as I always knew them, dealt with electric vehicles, trucks, flatbeds, buses, vans, things like that. But when you start getting into the news, you don't read anything about any of that. What you read is a lot of other stuff, Going all the way back to November. The company moves. Nope, I want to go back even further. Yeah, I'm still in November. The company takes flight in Europe, U.S., heavy lift drones to disrupt the traditional vineyard operations across Italy. Okay, one, we see they're working abroad. But two, they're talking drones. Where's the trucks? And now think of the drone they just talked about. For vineyards, I checked this out. These are heavy-duty drones that carry baskets of grapes, these flippy baskets. So the people don't have to carry them to the truck. All they do is hook them onto this drone, and the drone takes them to the truck and actually drops all the grapes and then brings the empty basket back. Keep the people there. Don't waste time walking with the heavy load. Really smart. Then also in November, the company secured an 80 drone deposit, rapidly expanding their drone business. Are they still doing electric vehicles? I don't know. I presume so. I haven't seen anything that says otherwise. Also in November, the company moved from paper to production for their global drone program. And they are advancing for their FAA and their ENAC certification, getting licenses so they can fly them in the air around cities and stuff. Okay. Now this is where the game started to change. AZIO, let's call them AZIO, AI valuation at approximately $480 million enterprise value, which is a company they are merging with. First, they were just getting their AI infrastructure into their drones, maybe their vehicles too. I don't know, but I know they're using their AI infrastructure. Well, once that happened, they decided they wanted to merge with them. And we see it's worth $480 million. Well, when you jump into the news, you see that AZIO said that one of the conditions of the merger was that the price of the stock, this stock, had to be $3. And I do believe at the time when that news came out, this news right here, the price of the stock was 38 cents. 38 cents. This came out on the 6th. And then we have news about how things were building up. And this is the news that came out that had the stock running on the day I made the video. AZIO receives a $100 million worth of government purchases and advances a $200 million regional pipeline and scalable U.S. AI infrastructure expansion. So they got a contract. They've got an extra $2 million behind that that's being invested in them. And they have this building that they can expand on. It was great news. Stock was running on that news. And then when everybody became aware it was going to $3, because I wasn't the only one that brought it up, it started becoming an issue out there. People were talking about it. It just ran, and it ran up to $4.91. Well, here in the last day, we've had two new pieces of news, And basically, it's the same news looking at it from a different vantage point. What I was able to gather here is that they are putting a lot of effort into creating the data center, and they are really working on every aspect of it, creating a renewable energy, not only renewable, but reusable. They have a way of capturing energy and reusing it. They are also working on the cooling activities. They are trying to build this real big building, and they want to do this not just for themselves, but from what I gather, their technology to be used for others using this self-contained AI data center infrastructure. So that's what's going on. There's a lot of headway with the company with drones, now with AI, and maybe their electric vehicles. Do a deep dive. It's going to be in their most recent financial. You'll be able to see if they're still doing it or if they got out of it. Taking a look at the relative volume for the company. Wow, dropped hard. Over the last 30 days, an average has been about 52 million shares on the major exchange. Today, she did only 5.7 million. Share structure for the company, we got about 12.9 million. Let's call it 13 million outstanding. Insiders, it says here, don't own a lot. This is as of the 21st, yesterday. They own 530,000 shares. Really? You would think they'd own more of their own company. So we get all the rest, 12.4 million, which isn't a bad float at all. Market cap for this company is at 41 million. Financials, they are making money, but it's jumping up and down. They're at their low point right now over the last 4 years, 1.8 million. Did make some profit, about $500,000. Quarterly, well, that's looking much better. A year ago, we had nothing. They have been climbing ever since, hitting a high over the last 12 months of 1.8 million, taking home $80,000 in that quarter. Looking at our balance sheet, not forgetting those 3 zeros, we got $77,000 here in the bank. We got about 18 million in assets, 16 million in liabilities. So we are holding 1.8 million in stockholder equity. So we're not holding a bag. Taking a look at the disclosures real quick here. We've got an 8K that came out 2 days ago. Material change. Notice of delisting or failure to meet NASDAQ listings. So what's the problem here? I did read this, so I'm already aware of it. They were in trouble because they did not have a meeting, a shareholder meeting last year. Now, I don't know how you fix that. You did it. You're wrong. You're going to get punished. Well, they got warned about it. So immediately the company turned around and had themselves a meeting, and it's done. It's all taken care of. They're now in compliance. We don't have any problem there. But that was the problem. And this other 8K, let's see what this one is. This is them announcing their stockholder equity. I don't know why they had to announce it. Maybe they had been notified by NASDAQ that they didn't have enough equity, but they said they had 1.8, which is what we just seen, 1.8. So that's everything that's going on with this company, which is a lot. Let's go see what the chart is doing for EV, TV. I wonder if they're going to change their ticker. I bet they do. All right. I don't have any lines. That's surprising. All right, let's go back a year. Aha! I got a line. How far back does that line go, for Pete's sake? Let's go back 2 years. 2-year line. So I just laid it on the top of this big fall here and the top here just to see where that laid. And that brought us right to the top of the 200-day MA. Just coincidence? I don't know. This is what you look for. Algorithms run forever, man. I'm telling you what, you can draw a trend line and the stock price will come back to it so many times and you think it forgot about it. Well, this was a very vulnerable point where the 200 and that trend line met. That's where it broke out. Everything was perfectly timed out. Look, no volume over all this period of time. Nothing. Let's come on down to our 1-year chart. All right, so we get to see most of it. Our 52-week high is at $9.30, presuming we have no reverse stock splits here. Over the last year, we have only hit the 200 once until we had our breakout here. We had to push through, but she came right back down, behaving the way she was supposed to. Right here, she was looking like she was trying to set up for a 200 squeeze, right? She's working her way up from underneath everything. She's right here. She breaks to 50, and then she pulls away. Why she do that? That's what I like to call the crouch and pounce, like a cat. You pull back so that you can get some room to jump. And that's exactly what she did. Came down to our 52-week low of 33 cents. Basically pushed off of that immediately. Once she got up over the 50, she was off and running, breaking through the 200. She is now coming back down to the 200. I always expect, it doesn't mean it's going to, but I always expect the price after a breakout, the initial breakout, I expect it to come back and test the 200, refuel down here, whatever you want to think of. She's got to come back down here and do something and recompose herself and then take off. There are those rare cases where it just keeps going, but just get used to that. If you miss one, you get out too soon because it keeps running. 1 out of 10 isn't going to be bad. If you get out and every other time she falls, you're going to like that rule. Our oscillators, they're all strong. They're pulling back right now, but there's a lot of heat still in them. Let's come on down to our 6-month 4-hour view. So she was just hanging around the 200 here, and then something got her very, very excited. She jumped here from $2.10, wow, up to $9.18, over 400% run. Very quick. She came down very fast. You got to sell when she's going up. This had to look parabolic. That's another signal. If your stock starts going up and it's becoming a straight line, it's going parabolic. Come on, folks. You got to sell on parabolics. It's got to come down. That's all there is to it. The price is a monkey, a kangaroo, but it's not a bird. It does not fly. So it's going to come back down to earth or a limb or a tree, something. It's coming back down. And this came down all the way back to where she started and further. And she continued falling until she hit that low. Off of that low, she started working her way up. As soon as she hit the 50-day MA, you can see there, she got strong. She started pushing up. The bars got very big compared to what they were, 5, 7, 8 times as big. Then she just laid there for a couple days. Here on top of our 50 with the 200 haul underneath it, she just decided to launch to and through the 200 in a very big way, going from 46 cents. Well, on that day, she went from 46 cents to $3.74. But she wasn't done. She kept climbing till the next day off of that bounce up to $4.93. Wow. But this is when everybody learned what was going on, that the stock should have been at least $3. And why she went beyond that? Speculation. Speculation will turn the heat on a stock big time, but there's no foundation for it. It's speculation. That's why we sell. So once she hit that high, she came down to her 9-day MA. Very confident. Floating on that 9. Put a peg down to the 20 just to keep herself up. Not the bar, just the leg. Hold myself steady. Started climbing again. Then she rode under the 9. And she's come down to some strong MAs. She's broke this. Now, once you break this, you've got to consider she's going to fall down. Now, is she going to go all the way down to this 200? Probably not. There's probably going to be something on our hourly chart or our 15-minute chart in this region here. But she could. That's something to consider. She has broken some very strong MAs here. 2 of them. You got a 200 and a 50. That's 250. And she just broke that huge and hard. All of our oscillators are very weak right now. The one that catches my attention is my ADX. The ADX is very informative, folks. It's got 3 lines here. It is measuring the strength of your uptrend. It is measuring the strength of the downtrend. And it's telling you the strength that's in charge right now, how strong that is. Well, it goes from 0 to 100. That's as big as the chart is. It doesn't float or move around. This is the absolute strongest it can be at the top. The red is up at the top. It is a downtrend big time. Big time. And our uptrend says, I'm not in the picture. It is on the floor. So there is no uptrend. There's nothing fighting to push this thing up. And then your yellow line is telling me how strong the trend is that's dominant. Well, it's at the 50% mark, which means it could get a lot freaking stronger. This has got room to push up. So this looks like it could fall a lot more based on our oscillators. Coming down to our 20-day, 1 hour view. So let's see, we've got our nice rip here. She went sideways. She's taking a break, and she's through this 200 as well, with all of the other MAs, the big ones, coming down like strong waterfalls, banging on her head, pushing her down. Chances are she's coming down, down, down. Now, you know, you might be able to say right here, maybe closer to there, that might be a resistance, a support for it right there, but it's a weak one. I'd probably have to go all the way back some to find out where she would sit. But based on this, now, the truth of the matter is what I would do, I'm going to get rid of this trend line. We don't need that bad boy there. I would use my Fibonacci here, folks. I absolutely would, and I will, because I think this has some strength. We're looking for a bounce. So I go from the top to the bottom so that my bigger lines go above me. If you do it from the bottom of the top, the bigger lines go down here at the bottom. Well, that's not going to help you when she starts to climb. So these are now Fibonacci supports and resistances, not connected to any historical price points, but I can use them to trade on. The price is going to respect them. Why? Because they're magic numbers. I can't explain it. Nobody can. Fibonacci is a science that works. We know it works. We use it. We just don't know how or why it works. It has a gravity. It has a magnetic pull. Things happen when you get near these numbers. Now, right now, we're back to that 38.2, right? This is the launch. 50 is the green. She is falling underneath the 50 and will normally fall to the next strongest MA. Well, what do? There's no stronger MAs in here. Well, hopefully when we go down to the 15-minute chart, there is. Because right now, she is sitting on that with nothing underneath her. So she would need to bounce here. But everything looks weak. Everything looks sad right now. So I don't count on this. Not on that chart. Take a look at our 5-day 15. So, oh God, no. No, this looks like she's coming down, folks. She has already broke through everything. We are still underneath our 200 on our 15-minute, which is what a lot of people trade on. She's also underneath the 9. We got a little green bar here, but that's not exciting. Our yellow bar on our ADX and the red bar are up at the top on our ADX. The green is trying to push up. That's that little green bar. You always have up and down movements. If it's going down, if it's going up, sideways. Yeah, it's going up and down because it doesn't go in lines. That's just not the way it moves. So honestly, I would think this was about ready to take a drop, and I'd be looking for an opportunity to get in this if you think she's got some play still left in her down the road. We could use that. Yeah, I would use that one. As soon as she gets above this 100%, I would expect a big, strong run here. And if she can push all the way up to there, now that's a $3.50 run. That's what I call the money run. When a stock will break up to the 100%, it'll take virtually the whole day to get up to it. And then in the last hour or 2 hours, it'll cover that entire distance. That's why I call it the money run. It will do that twice as fast in a huge spurt. And you can normally make a lot of money in these. But once she gets over the 100, you may want to put a Fibonacci on this bad boy over here and start playing on that one right there. So there's your EV-TV. Talked about that one a lot here recently. Need some monster. Magic. Let's see what we got here. Is a delist notice from the NASDAQ kind of a death sentence, mainly one that is failure to maintain a... You could be delisted for a lot of different reasons. If you don't meet the criteria for any of their criteria, minimum shareholders, minimum price, minimum stockholder equity, minimum market cap, lots and lots and lots of them. You could be thrown down to the OTC. It's a death sentence for the price. It's going to drop, absolutely going to drop. And then when it goes down to the OTC, it loses more than half of the market, the people that watch it, and it's an entirely different market. The people watching OTC stocks are not the people trading the major exchange stocks. It's a whole different market. There's not any volume down on the OTC compared to the major exchange. So it's a slow death. I mean, if you're down on the OTC, it's a struggle to get back up. It really is. So normally if a stock does get delisted down to the OTC, the stock price is going to fall. We're going to watch for a dead cat bounce. That's the best you're going to get. If you're in it, it's not coming back for a while. I mean, unless they do something drastic, it's going to be there for a while. Trust me, I've seen a lot of these happen. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't doing anything wrong. This is the only way I can tell, right? I got to come and check. Coffee Monster. One of the best they ever made. That's why they charge more for them, isn't it? All right, let's go take a look at another stock. It is 5 o'clock, and I feel good. So let's dive on over here. Start with my notepad. We're looking at Evio. This is going to be a very interesting stock to consider. Learn from. Let's say that. A stock to learn from. Evio came from John Liberty. First time I've seen John here. I appreciate you, buddy. This is a company that John says left the expert market after being on it 3 years. All right, so we've got a little bit of education here, and you can learn about some opportunities too. And I've got some videos on what I'm about to tell you here. Expert market is where you go when you don't do your financials on time on the OTC. When you're late on financials, you will be given a deadline to get them caught up. But we don't know what that deadline is until they put a grace period right here. It'll be yellow, says grace period 15 days. And that's all it says, 15 days. And if they don't get their financials caught up in 15 days, they will be down on the expert market where the stock cannot be traded until they get their financials caught up. Now, they're not delisted. They're still on the market. They're still in business. They're still doing all that. You just can't trade their stock until they get their financials caught up. Then they come back on the market and everything is back to normal. Sort of. And that's what we're going to learn here. So we are looking at Evio. Evio, I was told, was off the market for 3 years and on the expert market. Now, I looked at expert market stocks for quite a while because I played OTC stocks and I was seeing a lot of these back before COVID. There was a lot going on in the OTC market. And we were trying to catch stocks coming off of the expert market. Now, I can show you right here the biggest heads up I can give you. If you come to, let me think here. All right, you got to go to corporate actions right here where it says symbol changes. There's an arrow. Click that arrow. Come down here to market changes. This tells you before the bell, you'll be able to see this information. Stocks on the OTC that are changing tiers, going from the QX down to the pink or from the expert up to the pink, wherever they're moving. It tells you the old market, the new market. Well, you can see one here went down from the pink limited down to expert market. Pink limited is where you go when you're late. OTC ID, you're on the bottom tier, the riskiest tier. You move down to pink limited, you're late on your financials, you're on a countdown. You see grace period come up, you got 15 days. And then you go down to the expert market. Now, how do you know when those 15 days end? Well, let's go back to Evio and I'll show you. When you see grace period right down here, come over here to quote, right here, click it. Scroll down to eligibility. Underneath at the bottom, it'll say grace period and the date that they are going down to the expert market will be right there. And if they don't have their financials caught up, they will go down to the expert market on that day. Now, when you see over on that list a stock coming off of the expert market, you'll know it before the bell, but you can't trade OTC stocks until the bell happens. So you've got a heads up here. And that's the only heads up I've ever found is that little amount of time, except to say, since we know they are late on financials, I go over to the disclosures for companies I'm monitoring, and I will see if they have put in a load of financials, if they've got them caught up. If I see them go in, then I know they're probably going to come off the expert market. And it was about 4 years ago, I did exactly that with a stock, and I made a video on it. And I told everybody, I said, I expect this to come onto the market tomorrow, and I think it's going to go up 17,000%. What kind of crazy person goes public and says a stock's going to go up 17,000%? The very next day, it came off the expert market and went up 89,000%. Yes, it did. Now, here's the trick, folks. When a stock goes off the market, let's say it's at a penny. Let's make it easy. A penny. It goes to the expert market. It won't stay a penny. It is being bid down hard and fast. It will go below 0001. And you're going, how? How can it go under its price if you can't buy and sell the shares? Me and you can't buy and sell the shares, but brokers and market makers can. And they got some sick game that they play, and I don't totally understand it, but they pull these stocks down to prices like this: 5 zeros and a 1. Folks, you can buy, are you ready for this? $100 will get you 100 million shares of this stock right now. But you can't buy a stock for less than 0001. And that's where the opportunity comes in. When you see a stock that was a penny go down to the expert market, falls down to some ridiculous price like this, you can't do anything yet. You see on the scan in the morning, it's coming off the expert market. They have to have the stock at 0001. I don't know what's going on here. We'll talk about that in a minute. But they have to have it back at 0001. It'll normally come on at 0001, 0002, or 0003. But its normal price was a penny. So that's where it goes back to. Wherever it comes on the market, it goes right back to its old price. Folks, that's a 100,000% gain there from a 0001 up to, or is it 10,000? I think it's 10,000. In either case, it's huge. But here's the trick. Don't try to get it for 0001 or 0002 or 0003. The lowest, absolute lowest I would go would be 001. And maybe that's too low, because as soon as it comes out of the gate, I don't know how the hell it happens. It jumps really fast. And if you're too low, it blows by you. And I would rather lose 1,000% going from 0001 to 001. Just give that away and try to catch the next 1,000%, right? Get in up here if you're going to get in at all, because it won't let you in down here. It moves way too fast. So this stock obviously came off of the expert market. It should have been at 0001. And we look at the chart, you will see it has hit 0001 over and over and over and over again these last 5 days. It just keeps hitting it, but it isn't getting over it. I don't believe they're going to let you buy this stock at 501. You can try. It says it's available. I've not seen this before. And it's not even pink limited. Now, here's the strange thing. The company went on the expert market 3 years ago. They're still in business. They're still on the stock market. You can see the chart. It's there. Fine. All right. I see we have some brand new financials that just came out for 2026. I even see some here for 2025, but they're all for the same period, September of 2025. Great. The last one you had was back in 2023, May. Folks, they have to have financials for every single quarter between then and now. Where are all the filings from May of 2023 to now? You have 5 of them a year, 4 quarters and 1 annual. I don't know how the hell this is on the OTC ID. I would have thought maybe, possibly pink limited, but OTC ID, and then to come on with that price without all the financials, I am completely confused here. I don't know what the hell is going on. So what is it, this company all about? Well, Evio is here, based in Nevada. They say they are a holdings company with operations including pharmaceuticals, environmental, stability and analytical testing, as well as construction and investments with operations in the U.S. and Canada. Is there anything on their website? Looks like this domain isn't connected yet. So they don't even have a website yet. That's not very good. Let's see what we've got for news. Anything going on? Not since 2022. Not going to read anything there. Nothing down at the bottom. They can actually put stuff down here. These companies can actually make use of space here and put videos and all sorts. I had one company put my video down here. It was so neat to see my video on OTC markets. Let's see if there's any disclosures. Give us any heads up here. Now it is on the OTC ID, so I really don't expect anything. Let's see if we can grab anything off the annual report. Change of control. Well, there's something very important there. I always come in and look at that, and you normally don't see it. Yes, there's been a change of control. Now, just because there's been a change of control doesn't mean they're not liable for all of those financials. You buy a house that's got a bad roof, you got to fix the roof. It's your house now. So whoever got the company now, whatever problems came with this company, they got to fix them. It's their problem now. Let's see what else we've got going on here. Nothing there. Squeeze this up a little bit. Let's see what we've got. Total outstanding shares. Whoa, 19 billion. We'll see if that's right. 19 billion shares sounds a little excessive to me. Looking for anything that jumps out. Boy, they got a lot of information in here. Looks like they, now see, that's interesting. This is an OTC stock. We've got preferred D stock. We've got preferred C stock. You normally don't see preferred shares, lots of different series. Preferred E stock. You would think they had a lot of investors then, if you've got all these extra special stocks. And you should be able to get that information down here, but I'm not going to take time to dive into it. So we've got a financial there if you want to get some information and look around and see what's going on. Anything else there? No. All right, so let's go see what the volume is. Well, people are interested in it, and they're obviously buying it. Now, I want to check something here. Let's see if I can get the information. Down at the bottom. Yeah, so these are actual trade data. I can actually see some trades that have happened today, and I can see the price that they bought at. So today at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, somebody bought at 501 bought 5 million shares. That cost them $500. They bought 5 million shares. So even if the company did a reverse stock split, he'd have something left over, right? Big time. And we had another sale at 204 as well. Not very many. I bet he was testing it just to see if it worked. 3,500. And then he went big. Boom. Yeah, it was just a few seconds between the two. I'll bet that was a test. And then here, the price went up a whole zero. That's 1,000% gain, folks. When you lose 1 0, it's gone up 1,000%. 10 times, right? It's gone up 10 times. So this dropped another zero between noon, 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And then someone took advantage. So it looks like you can buy it. I may take a look at that. 1 million shares for $100. But let's see if the company's got anything worthy. Do I want to give this company any money for anything? How many shares do they have? They weren't BSing us. 19 billion shares. The insiders own a whopping 60 million. In any other case, I'd say that was a lot. But when you can buy 100 million shares for $100, they don't even have 100 million shares yet. So what's up with that? We get all the rest, 19 billion shares. Come on. Market cap. Well, if you take all those shares and multiply it times the price, you get your market cap. So we've got a market cap of just about 2 million. Wow. Financials. Are they making any money? No. Not even filing, right? There's nothing here. Nothing here. I mean, we got something. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't understand it. Let's look at the balance sheet. Oh, come on. We have nothing in the bank. We have no current assets. We have no total assets. We got liability. Oh boy, look at that. I thought it was 1 million. That's $10 million in liability. There's no revenues coming in, folks. There is no money to pay anybody, not even the management. but they got $10 million. Who paid it? We did. Management's getting paychecks. You can best believe it. Just because they're not in business, you think they don't pay themselves? Oh, hell yes. That's one of the biggest scams on the OTC. Just keep paying yourself and don't do squat. Make us think you're doing something, but don't do squat. Just keep partying hardy. Well, they've just gotten $10 million from us, and it doesn't look like they're doing jack diddly squat. And that's what we're holding. All deficit. $10 million. So I'm not seeing a whole lot here. The only thing that's nice is we've got a verified profile and we've got a verified transfer agent, which means they're not total BS. This is an unbiased third party that did this validation. So they've got that going for them. But everything else makes no bloody sense to me whatsoever. So let's go take a look now at the chart for Evio. I'm not expecting much out of this chart. So that's a whole year. I'm going to go back just for tits and giggles. I've gone back 10 years. All right, 10 years. This is back in, what year is that? 2016. We were at $5.45. We fell hard down here to, it's less than 10 cents. That was in 2019. And we've been down there for a very long time. We hit a super low here of 0. You can't hit 0. So you know this stock was either off the market or dead or something. And she's been down here for a long, long, long time. So coming back up to our yearly chart. All right. So now you're looking at this and you see she's been off the market for about 3 years. She just came back on. I'm guessing about here. I don't know. They don't tell you when they go off. They don't tell you when they come back on. You've got to be watching and mark it down. You've got to know this stuff. So what happened here? We had a bounce from, it says 0. Let's just say it's 501s. All right. And it went from 501 to 0001. Well, that's a 10,000% gain minimum. I don't know. They're calling it 0. And then you got another one here. It bounced there. These are the marketers. These are the brokers. And as I said, they're supposed to put the price back up to 0001. I don't know why they take it all the way down there. They trade down there and somehow they make money. I don't know how they do it, but they've got to make sure it's back up to 0001 before they're putting it back on the market. Well, here it is. Bam, bam, bam. And somehow we keep pulling it back down. I don't know how we can do that. And the fact that it's coming back down is not very exciting. That doesn't say much for the stock if nobody wants to push it up. But what have they got? They've got nothing. We don't have any news. We don't have any filings. We've had a change of control. So what we're dealing with here only is speculation. New people obviously want an opportunity, but do they want an opportunity to screw us, or do they want an opportunity to do something with the company? Did any value come with the company? Were there any assets? We saw 0. We saw nothing. There wasn't even a car, there was nothing. So I don't think Evio is worth watching, but if you're bored, if you've got time to waste, I doubt you got money to waste. So Evio, not interested. But hopefully you learned something there about expert stocks. There are a lot of opportunities there if you spend the time watching them. Okay, Kashira, good to see you. I was wondering if you were going to show up. I didn't call you out, but I was thinking about you. I noticed when you didn't have a ticker for me. All right, I do believe that covers all the tickers I had. I'm going to grab one here. I think the only one I saw was Zidar. I think so. Really? Oh, lucky. All right, it looks like I'm going to call you Diablo. I'm going to call you Diablo. We're going to look at Zidar, because Diablo thinks it's a hot penny stock you might be interested. Am I putting words in your mouth, Diablo? Well, that is what this show is all about. We're supposed to be sharing hot penny stocks with each other. Zidar. I know you did, Lee. I heard you. Lee wanted to look at SkyX. SKYX. We looked at it last week, but he says it's running. It's still taking off and running on their new turbo heater fan that connects to the ceiling without any wiring. Your kids could do it if you held them on the ladder. So we're looking at Zidar space. Space has been very hot. Space is probably going to be hot for a long time. You know what I mean? Space is cold, but the sector is really hot. And I think one of the reasons it's hot is because we invest in companies to share in their profits. And anybody that's dealing with satellites or space exploration, that's big bucks. That stuff ain't cheap, man. So these companies are probably going to be doing very well for the next 10 years as we work our way towards Mars. So let's see what we got here with Zidar Space, company based out of Florida. Of course they are. They finished today at $3.73. They were up just under 11%, jumping 36 cents on the chart. Hot penny stock on the NASDAQ. We got red up here, don't we? Prohibited service provider. Come on down. I'll bet you it's their accountant. Yes, it is. They've got BF Borger CPA. Why do they still have them? I think it was a year ago that BF Borgers was busted for fraud. They had something like, I don't know, I think it was like 300 companies that the filings were wrong on, and half of them were public companies. But that was a year ago. And you can be kicked off of the exchange for not having this fixed. So why that's still there, why they haven't changed it, who's doing their financials all this time? Are we going to trust these people? For God's sake. All right. So what is this company about? Zidar Space, a space as a service company, engages in the design, manufacture, launch, and data collection of commercial satellites worldwide. Probably has Elon Musk launch them for them. Its services include satellite manufacturing, precision machining, assembling, and testing, low Earth orbit, microsatellite payload integrations, launch and support services, space-based data services, blah, 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 blah. Lots and lots and lots of stuff here. So that's what they're doing. Everything that they possibly can in space. All right, let's just start with the relative volume and work our way through this so I don't skip anything by accident. They're doing about 50% of the volume that they normally do, dropping from about 66 million as an average over the last 30 days down to 32 million today. Share structure for the company isn't bad. We're at 35 million outstanding. No clue what the insider zone. Don't know what the float is, but it won't be more than the outstanding share count, so it won't be higher than 35 million. And say it with me, could be considerably less depending on how many shares the insiders own. Market cap, we're at 118 million. Looking at the financials for the company, up and down. We went from 1.4 million up to 7.2. Now we're all the way back down to 4.6. We had profit for a couple years. Now we're not making money. We're losing money, 1.5 million. Quarterlies, they're bouncing. I mean, really, the revenues are all over the place. The profit is all over the place, but mostly this year, the whole year, they've been losing money. And they just lost 1.2 million this last quarter. And that, what? How interesting is that? It cost them exactly how much they made. 1.298 is exactly how much they lost. So it cost them exactly the same amount. That's kind of curious. It almost sounds like a penalty. Taking a look at the balance sheet. Was that the balance sheet? No. All right, balance sheet. Looking at cash and cash equivalents. We have got ourselves 13 million in the bank, about 40 million in assets, about 16 million in liabilities. So we're holding a lot of money for this penny stock, about 24 million stockholder equity. Looking at the disclosures, let's see if we've got anything going on. In S3, this normally tells you, no, is this a stockholder meeting or is this shares? Shares. All right, looks like a shelf deal. Yeah, preliminary shelf. See how it's all red? It means they're not doing it yet. It isn't official. This is like a practice run. They throw this out there just to see if the fish are nibbling, but you can pretty much count on it. Looks like they're going to do about $500 million worth of everything they got. some regular common shares, some preferred stock, some debt securities, some warrants, some units. They're going to do all of that, which means there's going to be shareholder dilution. Now, you know when that happens, there's going to be a form here that says effect. And when you open it up, there's only one line in it. It's not worth reading. Effect, the public offering or whatever the hell they're doing, the shelf offering is on and happening. And it looks like that's probably going to happen. We've got an 8K here at the beginning of the month. Just see if there's anything from NASDAQ. Nope, no problems here. Adding to their board of directors. I know that's always boring news, but believe me, folks, the board of directors is your think tank. They are the people that keep control of your management. They're the ones that bring the better ideas to the table and keep them from doing the stupid things. We like our board of directors. All right, did that cover everything? No, not the news. Right, we got to look at the news. All right, looking at the most recent news, they just brought on their new board of director, announcing a price offering. We just read that through the filings. Closing one. What the heck here? Proposed, pricing, closed. Pricing. So they just had one. How much was this one for? I don't see any numbers there. So they're giving us a bunch of dilution right now. Not that it's that bad. You know, we're at the 35 million. All right. So everything is looking pretty good for the company. But the problem is I don't see any catalysts here. Looking at the most current news, anything, Cytospace awarded contract under Missile Defense Agency SHIELD, indefinite quantity, indefinite period of time. Those are always good. That means the contract will just keep going. You never know how big they're going to get. Those can be pretty profitable. Let's see. Scalable Homeland Innovative Enterprise Layered Defense contracted for a total IQ ceiling. Oh, friggin' crap. Sorry. $151 billion. Now, that doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but that's the ceiling. You're not going to get any more business from us than $151 billion. Live with it. Okay, we'll do our best. Wow. So that's real huge news. Obviously, that's going to take them for years. We didn't get into all the information there. And they've got more news here working with other people as well. The news is going back a little bit further. But as I said, this isn't news that is done and over with. It's carrying on. So you're going to want to build up your due diligence here by going through all of this news. So let's go take a look now at Zidar on the charts. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, who's screaming at me? I'm coming. I'm coming. Son of a bitch. Oh, I didn't do it. Something disconnected me. What the hell? I didn't do that, folks. I came back. It was disconnected. I wonder if you saw anything at all. What the hell? Bloody hell. Well, did you hear what I said? Man, oh man, I did not. Here we go again. You can always count on the whiz to whiz on something. Okay, we are now looking at Zidar. Jiminy Pete's. Suck me blue. All right, let's go back a year. We are back a year, aren't we? That's a full year there. I was obviously looking at this. I don't want that one. Let's get rid of it. There we go. All right, so, wow. All right, over the last year, she hasn't been doing much. She has been trickling downhill underneath the 200, but our 52-week low and our 52-week high have just happened in the last couple of months. Our 52-week low came at us at the beginning of December at 63 cents, and our 52-week high at 5.39 hit at the beginning of January. That was on the 7th. From there, she came down. She's landed on the 9. We've had a lot of wicks down to our 100% line on this Fibonacci I've got here. Now, I want you to take a look at that too. We'll focus in on it better, but look at all these run right there as she's going through. Boom, 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 boom. up to that 100%. This is what I was telling you earlier. She'll run from the bottom up to 100%. From 100%, the next Fibonacci magic line with a magnet sucking it in is up there at 161%. So I always say, if you can get in just over top of the 100% mark, couple green bars as your confirmation, you're going to get a 61% run there, right? That's going to be a run. And look at how big the bars got. And it just kept going, pushed right on through. So that's why I like to use the Fibonacci's on these runs, because they do like to hit these 100%, and in just a short amount of time, they'll give you a huge gain at the end of the day. Now, something I don't tell you guys, and I'm going to tell you this now. Write this down. This is one of my favorite plays, and it came from somebody that used to be on Discord and isn't with us anymore. His name was Scott. Scott used to be a trader for a brokerage firm back in the 70s and 80s, back before we even had the internet, you know, and he was doing a lot of charting for us. Well, this was a play he shared with us. When you have a halt on a stock, when it hits a high, mark that high. Hopefully the stock will fall after the high. When the stock starts coming back up, the price back to that high, when it's real close, put in a bid 2 cents over the high. Put in a stop loss 3 cents under the standing high. You've got a 5-cent spread there. No risk at all. Normally when it breaks the high, that is the new high of the day. You just did it with 2 cents, and that causes it to run 10, 20, 30%. Whoop, and you can grab a real quick gain just breaking the highs on these halted stocks. This is what that reminds me of right there. So once she hit that high, she came back down. We're floating on our 9. All of our MAs are climbing. Everything looks promising. She's back down to our 100%. You can expect repeat bounces. It does happen if everything is still strong. Now you can see how strong the volume was here. We don't have that kind of volume right now. That's what we need, that kind of volume. All of our oscillators are a bit neutral. Everything's kind of petered out a little bit. Coming on down to our 6-month 4-hour view. So as I said, she wasn't doing much. We did have some drops and pops here and there. This drop went from $2 down to $1. That was a 50% drop right there. Came back up through the 200 with a quick rip, and then all the way down, way deep, deeper than where she started from. You hate playing stocks like that, but that's why I say get into the habit of taking gains as she's going up, because they fall faster than they climb. And if you're putting in a sell order, you want to, look, put in a sell order, market. So when she's climbing, you see it at $1.50, you put in a market order, it sells at $1.62. Oh, I thought it was $1.50. Well, yeah, it was still moving when you put in your market order. So you got more. If you sell on red and you put in a market order, it's going to be lower than what you thought. And if you're trying to catch it with a limit, good luck there. That's like trying to catch a fish with a hook in your hand. Good luck there. So once she hit that low bubble, the whole game changed. She bounced off of that low very quick, which tells me she most likely has hidden value. There's a lot of shoppers out there looking for low bubbles. When they see a 52-week low, they'll check the financials out. And if they see shareholder value, they will jump into a stock. And it won't just bounce. It'll start to climb. And you can normally get a nice run out of these. Well, it took a couple days, but she got into position. She's in a 200 squeeze here. Everything is perfect. This is when she decided to break out of that 200 squeeze. She jumped here from about 70 cents up to $1.27. You know, we're looking at 60, 70%. Went sideways for a few days. Took a dip down to the 200 haul. We're totally safe. And then ripped. That was it. She was here at 95 cents. She went up to initially $2.58. Back down to our 9. Ripped back up to 337. And she's bouncing off of the 20, floating on the 9. Bouncing on the 20, floating on the 9. That's our repetitious play there. Now, once she decided to break away, she came all the way back down to our 100% fib for me. She started bouncing in between the 100 and the 69. You see here? I told you, big gain. That's a 61% move there. And she will move in those Fibonacci's. Use your Fibonacci's on these big runs and drops. You'll be able to set up timed runs that you get. Now that one there goes from 161 to 261. That's 100% rip. And look, it did it all after market, pre-market. Boom. So I love my Fibonacci's. These tell me when the good money's coming. You may not want to play it all day. Just wait until it gets up here. And then you get in. While everybody else was fighting to get their money, you take easy gains. That's the way we like to do it over at Penny Boys. So right now, she's come back up. We're on top of our 50. Looks like our 20 and our 20 is just starting to turn up. Our 9 is already up. This is a reverse 200 squeeze. There's a 200 haul and a 200 MA, but aren't they both coming together? They're equal. This does not know the difference. They look like 200s to the price. It doesn't care. It's going to go up. So we have a 200 squeeze perfectly set up over the 50, ready to break out over the 200. Now, this 200 haul is a friend of the price. So when it gets over the 200 haul and the 200 turns up, then it's going to get a turbo boost and go into high gear, and you'll get even a bigger run off of this bad boy. This is looking juicy. Juiciest stock we've looked at today. Coming on down to our 20-day 1 hour view. So there's that run on our Fibonacci until she got up here to the 61%. Did that twice, right? Then went up 100% off of the top of the 61. Came all the way back down. She's bouncing around in our 61. And right now she's looking strong. We've got lots of green bars that pushed up to our strong support here. This is our 161. Now, remember, if she breaks to 161, she likes to climb this hard. She may not get all the way to the top. Don't look for the top. I don't tell you that she's going to absolutely get there. I say she's going to make a strong run in there. So sell on the way up. You buy 100 shares, she starts climbing, sell 10, sell 10, sell 10 as she's climbing. When she finally hits the top and falls and you got 10 and she's falling fast, whew, you only had 10 to sell. Thank God. That's what I'm talking about. So she is sitting on top of her 9-day MA after a strong climb over the 200. All of our MAs are about ready to cross the 200. Those are golden crosses, turbo boost, pushing the price up. This is looking outstanding, folks. All of our oscillators are neutral. They're not looking bad at all. I don't see any heat, but I don't see any coolness. They're just perfect right now. Taking a look at our 5-day, 15-minute. Lots of volatility. There's some bounces in here to be taking profits, right? She is bouncing all around. We went from 430 down to 302. Off of that 302, instant jump. I mean, instant. The low bubble shoppers came in, took it immediately up to 333 from $3. That was a 10% jump there. Came back down to the 20, solid place to land, and ripped at the bell. Dropped before the bell, and at the bell took off. Nice. From 320 all the way up to 379. Should have been selling once we got over that 200. We expect it to come back down, right? Initial breakthrough. You should come down and test it. She spent most of the day coming down. She then got back up on top of it. She's rambling around right now. Lots of bounces. What do I think she's going to do? I think she's going back up here. I think she's going to shoot for that high again. Now, this is just my opinion. I'm not a broker. I'm really not a wizard. I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't predict nothing. And legally, I can't tell you anything is going to happen. Legally, I can't tell you what to do. I can tell you what I'm going to do. I can tell you what I might do. I can tell you what I think is going to happen. What I must tell you is if I have any of the stock, if I know any people I'm related to that own the stock, if I've been paid to talk about the company, I have to tell you that. That's the law. Outside of that, no. So I think she's going to climb. I see our MAs are in position. I see our oscillators are at neutral. She is at a good strong point right there. Oh, that's not my line. Let me grab my support line. I'm going across the top right there. All right, so we hit this top there, that high point, that high point. So we at least expect it to get up on top of here, and this is where the strength would come in. See our gap? We got a big gap here. This she'll try to fill fast. That's what gaps are all about. They get filled quick with a lot of strength, or at least they work on them hard. So once we get over 390, a couple green bars, I would be looking for an entry for myself, and I'd be looking for that push up to there. And if she can get to that, then we might have a chance for a strong push. All right, that covers side do, and you're with me. Boo! Boo, I keep hitting wrong buttons, man. You got to remember, I've been here all day from 7:20 in the morning. I'm posting news on Twitter, on Discord, on Facebook, as much pre-market news as I can get. So if you're looking for someone posting news, I put it in bullets. I tell you how much gains they've had right now, what the price is right now, best I possibly can. I give you pictures, a little blurb of the news. You get a lot of freaking information from me. I put a lot of effort into this stuff. And I do this every single day from 7:20 to 9 a.m. And then from the bell to bell, I'm trading with the public. I'm also doing my own trading. So if I disappear, I also do videos. I'm doing due diligence during the day. So I'm not around as much as I probably could be, but I'm here for you. I'm doing as much as I possibly can, and I do it with a sincere heart. Remember, folks, I don't get paid for squat. So why else would I do it unless I liked it? Or at least liked you. You guys do smell good. I got to say that. Who's eating fresh baked cookies? That's been bugging me this whole time, man. My stomach is growling. All right, folks, I am out of here. I appreciate you spending your time with me. That was an hour and 41 minutes. I'm sure there was a lot of movies you could have chosen rather than watch me. So thank you for your time. I will be back here again next week, trying not to beep up and get this right. Haven't done it yet, at least not for a while. 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. When that bell's going off, I'm going on. Remember, folks, the more you know, say it with me, the more you're going to grow. See ya. Okay, Home Alone, Home Alone.